Okay.
Kia ora everyone. I have got Jane Pascoe here to talk to us about what she does and in particular her Yin Yoga that she teaches. So I'll pass it over to Jane to give you an introduction and hit the ball rolling basically.
Thanks, Hannah. It's so cool to be here. So yes, I'm Jane and I'm based here in Nelson, and I've been teaching for 20 years, and 10 years ago I did my yoga teacher training, and then I travelled to Australia a couple of years later to do my Yin Yoga training in Byron Bay with Power Living Australia. So I've been teaching it for maybe 8 years and yoga in general for 10. So I started with quite a dynamic yoga practice and a teaching style, coming from my dance background. That dynamic flow of movement really appealed and was really nourishing at the time. But I could see once I started, I wanted to learn more, and the philosophy behind yoga is so beautiful that I felt like I wanted to create more space for that side of it. And so then I started practicing Yin Yoga and realized that was exactly what I was feeling, what I needed. So Yin is, as it sounds, it's the Yin to the more yang styles of yoga, and it interweaves a few really profound practices, one being traditional Chinese medicine and the energetics around that, but also the meridians as well. So it's a beautiful way to teach. We look at connective tissues as well. So instead of thinking about the muscular side, like stretching like you'd normally, where there's a bit of energy and effort, you use bolsters and blocks and props and things to actually hold the body so that then you can relax the muscles. Is about 30% muscular effort, and this way you can actually get into the connective tissues, and this is where we start to see people healing themselves from postural faults and old injuries and things like that. And the connective tissues in the body, I'm not going to go into it too much, but we've got like front lines and back lines and spiral lines, and then there's this beautiful connection between them and the meridian lines. So we have this sort of ready-made pathway that we can plan our classes around. And as you might know, with that, you've got the seasons, you've got the chakras, you've got the elements and all that sort of thing that you can draw from to sort of heighten the experience for people and that sort of energetic and spiritual connection. So it's a really powerful practice. From the outside, it looks like people are lying around, and then on the inside, it can be like a real storm you're weathering. So it's almost like often my regular students will know this well. I talk about riding the waves of sensation with your breath and that sort of thing. So it can be quite an intense practice, in a different way.
And it's the sort of thing that sort of yoga that doesn't generate a lot of heat in the body, if any, and you want to be doing it with cold, like a body that hasn't been warmed up. You don't want to be going and doing cardiovascular exercise and then hopping to Yin. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So contrary to stretching, when ideally you want the muscles to be warm, when you're looking at the fascia and the connective tissues and ligaments, you want the body to be pretty cold. With ligaments, there's that real risk of overstretching, and unlike muscles, you can't tighten ligaments again. So once they've been overstretched, you're in a bit of trouble there. So so it's actually a really nice thing to do first thing in the morning, and it's kind of like that one of those ones that you can do you can do a few poses in bed before you even get out of bed. So just to unravel the body, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything always seems so much harder in the morning. Like, you know, any form of stretching or yoga can, you know, it really feels quite difficult in the morning versus the end of the day, just from that, you know, being in that sleep posture, and
That's right.
state. And what do you think about, you know, people who are living on a really high level and they go and their lives are jam-packed, and they say that for them their stress relief or their best exercise is running. They couldn't, you know, yoga's not for them, and particularly, you know, sitting with the yin and having to sit with your thoughts and your discomfort, pushing to that edge where you're, you know, in a little bit of discomfort but having to sit with it. Do you have any recommendations for people who have that sort of story that they tell themselves that, no, yoga's not for me, and especially not yin, nothing slow, that's not for me?
Yeah. Usually the people that resist it are, I'm afraid, are the people that need it the most.
Okay.
And for some, it's really surprised us. One of the spaces that I teach most out of is in a gym in City Fitness in Nelson. We've got a beautiful little studio that's connected to the gym, and our Yin Yoga class has actually become our most popular class. So you've got a lot of athletes, you've got a lot of people that train a lot in the gym that have realized that it's actually, regardless of whether they want to do it, it's actually what they need to counter everything else they do in life. That daily grind, the constant busyness, the constant pushing, but also that in the physical sense as well. So people are turning more to it. But a great place to start might be for some people in a more dynamic practice, because once you get mindful movement, you know, any mindful movement is a brilliant start and a brilliant way to relieve stress. And once you've mastered that or doing that on a regular basis, then it just becomes a natural progression to yin. So even though physically it might not look like the advanced practice, it actually really becomes an advanced practice. It's like where you head to after doing other more physical practices, when you're able to start sitting and pausing and stopping.
And that for myself as well, that's how I came to yin as well. It was, you know, the more active forms of yoga, even to the point of, you know, doing some hot yoga and things like that, and then progressed through to absolutely adoring yin. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the impact on the mind and mental and emotional well-being. So can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, sure. In a yin class, us as yin teachers are blessed with a whole hour or a whole 90 minutes to create space. And while it might not appear to be a difficult class to teach, it is actually one of the most challenging classes to teach, because you have to maintain that space. And so what the yin practice calls you to do is just simply notice, is to pause and notice what your breath's doing, what sensations in your body, how you're feeling. Like, do you feel like you want to just drop and cry, or are you feeling like you want to run a mile, or are you angry? All of this stuff comes up. Or you might get this overwhelming sense of love. You know, there are these things that come up if you surrender to the process. So it's a beautiful place for release. It's and I see it and I feel it, and I'm really grateful for that. It's an absolute privilege to teach. It's
quite therapeutic in that respect. It's, you know, you could equate it to talk therapy, like sitting down with a counselor, really, with the offload of emotions you can get. And we talk about, you know, storing your anger and irritability in your hips, or a lot of emotions in your hips. And with Yin, you work a lot in the hip area, don't you? There's a lot of hip opening work, and so you know, you can even deal with those sort of emotions via Yin. And I mean, I've had tearful moments multiple times in Yin practice, and also little moments of I guess like intuition, or little thoughts pop in that, you know, give you sort of answers as well, which is really cool.
And you're just creating space for yourself, and it's amazing what comes up. Even though you might think, oh, I'm in my yoga practice, it's actually something that comes back up that you can tend to later, just purely because you've created space for yourself. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I 100% believe in Yin and the tonic that it is for the whole person, you know, body, mind, soul, spirit, whatever you want to call that. I just think it's excellent, and I'd love to see more people try it. Where can people try Yin yoga in the Nelson area with you?
So with me, I teach at City Fitness in the studio. Along with me, there are a bunch of wonderful teachers. So we've got Yin classes. I think there might be 5 or 6 classes a week. That currently I'm just teaching on Friday at midday, which is actually a really nice time of the week to drop in. And really popular class. So you can book and come and do a casual and just try a class, just book through the City Fitness reception. I also offer 2 classes a week online, and I've found it's been really beautiful actually, doing a Yin home practice just with the guidance of somebody. The feedback I've had is wonderful, because they're in their home environment and they feel safe, and there's that little bit more space to reflect at the end, where everyone's not jumping up and rolling their mats up, and you're not sort of thinking, gosh, I've got to get to my next thing. So that's a wonderful thing to consider, and because we've got, you know, 3 to 4 minutes or 2 to 4 minutes in each pose, there's plenty of time for me to set you up and make sure you're safe and you're supported. So it's quite a nice one to do online. So that's there as an option as well. And you know, of course, those classes are done live and pre-recorded, so you can go back and do your favorite ones as many times as you like.
That's such a great option, and like you say, not having to get up after a class and go and do normal life stuff again is really great. You get what I call yinned out after a Yin session. It really grounds you and puts you back into that parasympathetic rest and digest mode, doesn't it? And really nice relaxed state. So if you don't have to go on to the next thing or drive somewhere, etc., then that's really nice to have that slow finish.
And also just slightly shorter sessions as well, so just makes it a little bit more accessible for people to do, like a 40-minute Yin practice or even a 30-minute one, and maybe get that in a couple of times a week. You're going to notice a huge difference. You know, sometimes it's just literally time that holds us back from a regular practice, and so maybe just shortening the duration of the class and doing it more regularly, I think, would be really beneficial.
Really nice idea. Well, thank you so much for talking to me about this today, Jane, and I hope that anyone who views this video gets something from it and maybe just tries a bit of Yin.
Yay, cool.
Thank you.
Well, anyone can get in touch with me if they've got any questions. Always happy to chat.
Jane's on Instagram if you want to go and have a look. She's got a great page to follow there. So check it out. Thank you.
Thank you.